Let's call this regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Joshua Basin Water District to order. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026, and the time is 5 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's nice to see everyone here. General Manager Johnson, please conduct the roll call and confirm a quorum. President Doolittle. Here. Director Flowers.
Present.
Director Fitz.
Here.
Director Charlesburg. Here. VP Short.
Here.
We have a quorum. Okay. Board members, are there any changes requested to the agenda? All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved as is, and the motion carries. I did not hear any nays. So we reserve item 4 on the agenda for public comment. We have this time set aside for public comment on any district-related matter, and we welcome it. But please understand that due to the Brown Act, the board is prohibited from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. So please, if you have a public comment, come on up and state your name, and let's see what you have to say.
My name's Daniel Flores. I'm a resident here, 11 years this month. I started a subdivision, a small subdivision, nothing like Love Ranch, for one lot into 4 parcels 4 years ago. It's still not completed. And the single last item I have in order to complete this very costly project is a letter from the Joshua Basin Water District, and which is called a non-interference letter, which is on your website, which explains what it is. So I contacted your office on May 27th. I still have yet no updates whatsoever. Paid for a $1,500 deposit. Essentially, my feeling from your employee is don't call us, we'll call you. And I just want to point out that other utilities such as Frontier and Southern Cal Gas, yesterday, Frontier was added to this list by the Land Development Surveyor's Office. I got that letter the next morning at no cost. That's it.
Sure.
I also got a letter from Southern Cal Gas in a matter of a couple of days at no cost. Very simple letter. That Jim Stone from Surveyor's Office in San Bernardino County, I believe today, told me I may not need it from your department because of the time lapse. I guess there's 30 days or something. Not sure. But I don't know what I paid $1,500 for thus. I also need what's called I think it's called a will serve letter. But I believe they refer to it as, let's see, which isn't part of the deposit I paid $1,500 for. It's just a verification letter. I'm not familiar with what that is. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. But it's just what that is. My question is, and my complaint is, why is this taking so long? And it's the last item I need to complete this 4-year project. It's just 4 parcels, which I've run out of money. I wouldn't plan on doing anything with them, quite honestly. I don't know. I built 1 house. So that's my comment. And I don't know who I can speak to with regards to this other than the young lady at the front. I'm not going to name any names, but it's just been frustrating. And what I was told when I first spoke to her, so we don't do this sort of thing very often, which is it's a rare thing, which I don't know if that is the case. However, her last response was, there are many people in front of me in line, and first come, first serve. That's fine. But if you give me an idea, if such as this should take 30 days, or it should take 2 months, fine, I'm fine with that. But there's no, in my opinion, the way I feel, respectful reply.
I got a call time.
That's great. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. And I'm not addressing you directly, but I do know the district and they're great at follow-up. So. All right, and I don't believe are there any online comments? Hearing none, the public comment period is closed. We'll now move on to agenda item 5, and that's the consent calendar. So items on the consent calendar are expected to be routine and non-controversial, and they're to be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. If a board member would like an item to be handled separately, it will be removed from the consent calendar for separate actions. Items on the consent calendar today include the draft minutes from the May 18th, 2026 meeting, the draft minutes from the May 20th, 26 meeting, and the April 2026 check register. Board? Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Oh, need a second?
Second, yeah.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. All right. Now we move to our action calendar, the agenda, and we will now consider item 7A, the proposed adoption of resolution number 26-1086, the 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and the Water Shortage Contingency Plan. Is there a staff report?
Yes. Very good. So as you know, we've been working on the urban water management plan since about this time last year. It's a regional plan, and we have folks here from Rosero that will be giving tonight's presentation to introduce Adriel Ramirez. Adriel?
Hello again.
You're on
Hello,
mute.
thank you for having me again. I also invited Greg Young. He is our principal here at Zanjero. And I have a PowerPoint presentation we'll walk through before we get into the public hearing itself. So I need the ability to share.
One moment, almost there. Should be good to go.
Okay, so today's presentation will be providing an overview of the document structure. So a little bit different than last time. What we had provided last time for you all to review was Joshua Basin Water District's individual chapter within the entirety of the rest of the Regional Urban Water Management Plan. So we'll discuss the structure a little bit, as well as review the supply characterization for the district, its water service reliability, and then a regional water service reliability, touch on the population forecasts, water shortage contingency plan, and then review some fundamental findings of both the regional portion of the urban plan as well as the district's chapter specifically. So the plan that we had shared with you, once we compiled it all, is structured in this way. There is an executive summary, regional chapters 1 through 5, which tell the collective story of the entirety of the Mojave region and avoids duplicity that would have otherwise been had if we had done 11 different individual urban plans within the region. And then we get into Mojave's wholesale chapter, and then the regional chapters, which is where the Joshua Basin specific chapter lives, and then all the required appendices that go along with it. So last time we had touched on Joshua Basin's supply characterization, primarily 2 basins that the district pumps water from. That is the Copper Mountain Valley Basin and the Joshua Tree Groundwater Basin. These basins are not adjudicated and are not subject to Sigma. So understanding the total amount of usable storage is something that isn't as accessible as other basins, given the fact that there isn't a model being ran every year because of regulatory compliance pressures and things like that. So these numbers were carried over from the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan that referenced a 2016 USGS study that quantified the total amount of usable storage. We also went through and quantified the amount of state water projects state water project supplies imported to Joshua Basin Water District over the past 5 years. And those amounts averaged between 1,900 acre feet to, in super dry years, there was no water coming in, but 5-year average, about 1,000 acre feet per year, which is pretty consistent or pretty near your demand on an annual basis. Coming back to water service reliability, we did review this last time. Again, this is your supply and demand picture as required by the Urban Water Management Planning Act, where you're assessing a normal year and a single dry year. Again, these projections are very similar because we're not making adjustments for a single dry year as compared to other areas in the state where in a dry year, you might have responses to no rainfall. There might be outdoor irrigation that is occurring sooner than later. But in your case, demand is pretty hardened, so that's why these two are very consistent. The other thing we touched on last time was that we've set up these tables and all the projections within the document, or within your chapter specifically rather, to show no surplus or deficit because of the ample supply available, and then also because of Mojave Water Agency's management practices. So while Mojave's supply picture as a whole over time does vary depending on drought years, because it affects state water project allocations, the district is afforded the ability to only essentially pump what it needs in any given year. So when we look at the regional water service reliability, we see in a normal year that the regional demand is significantly less than the supply available to Mojave, and therefore there's a surplus that is generated in normal years. During dry years, state water project contracts are reduced. There's not as much water available in the Delta, and therefore there is a negative value. There's a deficit that is made up with managed groundwater storage. We also touched on population last time. That was pulled from the UC Riverside study commissioned by the Mojave Water Agency, and then also checked against and refined using data from the 2020 census, as well as data from the Southern California Association of Government. So 2025 population projection is around 10,000, climbing by about 1,000 people out to 2060. And we had discussed that the census designated place here in red has a population of about 7,400. But the district serves an area greater than just the census designated place of Joshua Tree itself. And when we layer on the residential parcels from the Southern California Association of Governments, we see that there is a very high density of population you are serving within Joshua Tree census designated place, but there's also parcels outside of the census designated place that you are serving. So when we look at your number of residential parcels as a whole, it's around 4,500. And the majority of those, around 3,200, are within the designated place. But your total active connections of 4,700, I believe that is active and inactive, is pretty close to the amount of residential parcels within your service area. So when we think about characterizing a population, we're capturing all the service connections within your service area, not just the census designated place. And then a couple more slides here to wrap up. The water shortage contingency plan, it is recommended by the Department of Water Resources that you re-adopt the plan at the same time you're adopting your latest urban plan. Again, this document was essentially designed for smaller systems that may have trouble during drought periods. And if you think about a system that is highly dependent on a surface water source that it is using to supply to its customers, we start to see kind of a similar picture to what we saw in Mojave, where they're heavily affected by climate, and therefore they may need to undertake actions in certain years to reduce demand because there's a shortfall. In the case of all of the retail agencies within the Mojave Water Agency, that is not the case because you guys pump groundwater and there is storage available, as we saw, to meet that deficit in dry years. And therefore, the water shortage plan at the district level, which hasn't been implemented since it was adopted in 2020, is more so of a document that contains all the actions you may undertake that historically have not been undertaken because of the groundwater basins that you guys extract from. And then lastly, fundamental findings. Substantial supplies exist within the Copper Mountain Valley and Joshua Tree basins. The agency has determined that there is sufficient supplies for the region during the planning horizon, as we saw in the prior slides. Projected demands will continue to increase with added population. So as new population comes into the service area, demand is expected to go up. However, in our forecasting projections, we did take into account regulations that are in place related to urban water use objectives. So it is anticipated that new customers coming into the system are more efficient, and therefore demand is only increasing very slightly, as you've seen in the projections. And then lastly, water supplies are available, but require active management from the district across multiple years. We can open it up to questions at this time or take questions after the close of the public hearing. We are totally open.
I think we're going to go with board questions first, and then we'll open the public hearing.
Okay.
Hey,
Sure, Director Flowen?
yeah, I was not concerned, but I was interested in this water shortage contingency plan. And then I kind of connected that with tank D31, where it was said that we're going to hire engineers to determine if we're going to rehabilitate the old tank or if we're going to get have a new one built there, destroy the old one. And then there was a comment about how we may put in the new one. If we go with the new one, it would be a larger one. So I was just kind of curious if there's a savings here by updating the water shortage contingency plan, if we're going to have a larger tank, or justify the need for a larger tank because of this plan, which hasn't been updated for 4 years or so. Or if the contribution that we would get from a larger tank would be so minimal that we wouldn't bother with this. Any comments on that?
Yeah, it's a good point. The difference that I think that we should probably look at is that the water shortage contingency plan typically deals with not being able to serve water because we don't have it. Not necessarily about the storage capacity. So what you're talking about would be storage capacity. And what this is talking about is if we had a drought and we didn't have water to pump out. So similar, but not quite the same.
So you wouldn't necessarily justify the need for a larger tank because of a variance between what we have now in population compared to what it was 4 years ago. And that doesn't This is just a fly speck, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, we actually have a lot of water storage for the district of our size currently, so that would add more and then help for future build out for what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Director Jarlsberg?
Can I just comment on this? Because I'm thinking that by the time this new tank is built, we could be needing it. I mean, you know, obviously it was gonna take some time, or any improvement like that would take time.
Of course, but remember, development fees their way. So if there was a situation where a lot of development came in and we didn't have enough water storage in that area, the developer would be responsible for that, not the district.
So we're not concerned about expense, but we could be concerned about access to the water.
Pass this.
I think we always are.
Yeah, yeah, no. What?
That's D31.
Oh, okay, thanks.
It's a little baby thing. Will cost a fortune though, but it is just a little baby thing.
Yeah, I thought the baby was the one they're replacing.
And if anybody's listening, I'll have my phone at the farmer's market with this picture of D31 on it. They can look at it too. It's hard to find.
Wow. I have more questions, but I'll wait my turn.
Well, you have,
Oh,
the
okay.
please, Director.
My main concern, well, there were a couple of things and they're kind of minor things that I was able to read. One of them is throughout the report, High Desert is written HIGH, and H is capital and desert is capital. And I wondered if it needed to be capital, and that should be HI-desert. To be correct for this area, because you're only talking about Morongo Basin,
Through
basically.
the whole document and some, remember, this is a regional document.
Well, that's what I was,
So-
how big is this region we're talking about? Is it outside of
It's
our?
outside of our area, so
Okay.
it's all of Mojave Water Agency's area.
Oh, it is,
If you
okay.
read in our chapter particularly, we did do high desert HI, but all of the other references in the document are for high desert, which is.
Okay, I was also interested why it was capitalized.
I think it was decided to do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll never know.
It's stylistic, but I heard you say that in the past, and it was something that I had brought up to Adriel when we went through the document. So our chapter particularly, if we caught them all, I think we did, is HI dash.
Yeah.
And then if we're talking about the rest of the region, it's the HIGH.
Okay, good, thank you, I'm glad I asked. Another main concern is one that I think, President Doolittle and I have spoken about a lot, climate change. And I was looking at some of the current reports about the El Nino conditions that they're predicting to be especially dramatic in the near future. And who knows, probably it'll be continuing because of the climate change that's happening. And some of the report was based on us predictably having adequate water, even if we have a drought. I mean, obviously, we didn't, if we had a 20-year drought or something, it might definitely be different, but the kinds of drought periods that we've experienced recently. But it sounds like it's going to rapidly get worse for a variety of reasons. One is a federal issues that are coming up. They're eliminating, you know, what we've done for so many years, especially in California, to help mediate some of the climate change effects. One of, you know, I think we discussed some of that at the last meeting about our concerns and about how accurate our predictions are for increasing growth and development. And I have to confess that in my kind of exploration of what I could read, managed to read, I'm sorry, I have an eye infection, so it's really hard to read right now, but my confession is that I used AI to review the document with a question about references to climate change issues. And I came up with a nice list that was scattered throughout the publication. And it looks like it has been considered quite carefully throughout the document. And the bottom line that came up, but I was encouraged by it, says, these references demonstrate that the Joshua Basin Water District is actively considering climate change in its planning, risk assessment, and community outreach efforts. And the titles were where the issues were mentioned in a bit of detail in the 13, I don't know, that's chapter, I mean, the first number is 13, and then in another one at 3, that was 3.7. And we were talking about climate change as a driver of planning and reliability analysis. And the other one was consideration in water use forecasting with no near-term adjustment. And the third was identified as a local hazard with specific risks and mitigation strategies, just illustrating the kinds of things that were explored. And because of this, I think I trust it better. Okay. And I knew you're doing your jobs, but I just wanted to clarify that a little more in detail. And I think that's all I really want to bring up right now.
Director Sloan, did you say you had more or?
No, I'll resist.
Director Fick?
Yeah, I have some. I'm seeing that this, this is pretty much a one size fits all kind of document as far as coming from the state and all. And of course, our situation with the water shortage contingency plan, we have a couple of 100,000 acre feet of water under us. So I think we won't come into that shortage situation. But I do have concerns with my history and land use. And of course, this isn't a land use document, but it does have a comment in here that gives me a little concern because it's on page 183, 13.3.3. The last sentence says, these developments, this is regarding future development. These developments are generally consistent with anticipated infill and modest growth patterns and reflected in the population projections described in this subchapter. I don't have any trouble understanding what rural does. Our county does. They've had several high density projects tried to be foisted on Joshua Tree, and we've had to refuse them. And in this one, it looks like they're generally consistent. And so my question would be, maybe that last sentence has to be modified a little just so that it doesn't give blessings to high density projects, which the county does and has been I've been in litigation with 2 of them, including one tomorrow. So that's one of my concerns is that now who wrote this part?
The document is a collaboration effort. It's not just one author. So can you tell me the page number again so I can reference?
It's 183. It's
of the packet?
yeah. Well, I'm in this thing. I have a PDF in front of me here on computer. It's 13.3.3, current and projected land use. And I'm aware the water district, it gets told it's not water, it's not involving land use, but
Yeah, we're not a land use agency.
yeah, well.
What is your concern and what is the change you would like to see?
These developments are generally consistent. That's a very large generality because, like I said, the county does foist high density projects that are not rural at all on us. And so can we have I don't know how to phrase that properly so that we can maybe put in the, let's see, in the sentence, I'd say somewhere put in about the rural aspect of the development that we want.
Well, I don't think we can put in there the rural aspects of the development we want into the document. I don't think that would be appropriate because that sounds more like land use. I mean, to stick with water use. And what we're saying here is the development projects that have come forth, the ones that we do know about, they're generally consistent. But it's a general.
More was not consistent at all. And neither was Altamira.
You might give us another option of what you'd like to see in the document, then that could be put in for consideration.
Okay. I don't have it right in front of me right now, so I don't know what, I just had that observation going through all these pages.
I understand. Adriel, do you have any comments?
I have the document pulled up if we want to take a look at it.
But I'd like to offer that I've noticed the same thing and actually had some ideas for how to rewrite it, but obviously we need to have the input of the district because I don't know if I've strayed into any kind of land use commentary either, but I did notice this one as well. So, or should I just go, I was wanting to add, because there's several things that I was concerned about with, like the description of our area, the high desert moving toward away from rural into more an agriculture into logistics and stuff. And that's definitely not, I don't see that happening in Joshua Tree. So that was in the overall MWA report. But this, what I suggested, we need to say something like, as of this writing, several residential development projects have been proposed within the service area, with additional projects anticipated. Based on information available at the time of preparation of this UWMP, these projects appear inconsistent with the low-density desert-compatible development pattern that has historically characterized the community. And in the absence of an adopted community plan or other clearly defined framework establishing the community's long-term growth vision, the scale, density, and water demands associated with future development remain uncertain. So accordingly, actual development outcomes may differ from the assumptions reflected in the population projections and water demand forecasts described in this subchapter. And just, you know, I looked at some other urban water management plans, and they would actually list, they had tables of what the developments are. So anyway, so that something along those lines is like an addition I would like for us to add to this.
One that you sent me in the email.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, perfect. So I already sent that over to them for
Okay.
consideration. Is that something that can be added to this section, Adriel?
Can I make a suggestion on this? Appreciate the concern and the commentary and the intent. And I think we want to make sure the district is thinking through its opportunity to continue to act in the way it has, which is what I'm hearing from the board about concerns with some of the developments that are brought forward. And by leaving, first, I'm going to stay with the language as it is before we talk about any adjustments, and then talk about Director Doolittle, your suggestion, and kind of look at those in different lights and think about those for a moment. As the language states right now, it essentially is saying there's a population projection. You guys have seen some kind of generally rural opportunities, similar to one of your public comments earlier. Let's do a lot split of 1 to 4. Those kind of things have been put in front of you, and that's generally consistent with your rural nature. There are no specific plans, list of plans from a land use entity to put in like a table that you may see in other urban plans. My worry, so actually, I think the language as is, and we can look to add, some words here and there. I'm not suggesting to lock anything down, but to the extent of your suggested language opens up an opportunity, or actually, in my opinion, in working on these kind of things and dealing with this on the land use side, you are removing a little bit of your opportunity as the district to say, if a new development comes in and says, this is outside of anything we've identified, so you're going to need to do a whole analysis for us, demonstrate whether there's water available, do some modeling, do other things. Because our whole plan was not to see things like this. And that's what we've established, and that's what we've written. And to put in a caveat that says, and reality might be different than what we have projected in our plan, gives an opening, I think, for a development to say, well, it's not my job to do it now because you guys even admitted that you maybe not have analyzed everything. And I would rather you retain the ability, and I'd appreciate if Mr. Hoskins can weigh in a little bit here on the legal side of it, that the district maintains its opportunity to ask developers to really look at what in the world they might be, how they might be impacting your services and your opportunities as a water supplier. And that the language that kind of admits to some vagaries and unknowns, I think gives an opening that you don't want to give. That's my professional opinion. I'm hearing what you're saying about the rural nature and some of the things you guys have seen. Those aren't represented right now. We can maybe add a couple of words here and there as some qualifiers to make sure it's consistent with what you want it to say, but I would not want to add the rest of the paragraph that Sarah did share with us, because I do think it may limit your opportunity to ask developers to bring a bunch more to the table in investigations. Mr. Hoskin?
I'm happy. I've not seen that paragraph, so I would probably need to see what change is being proposed and get a better idea of the context, rather than this being coming up kind of cold in a meeting and trying to analyze where it fits within our jurisdiction as a water agency. So I don't know that I can really opine on that. I mean, obviously, if this is a change that the board wants to consider as a whole, then I think we would need to look at that and bring this back for further analysis with that adjustment, because I'm not ready to make an opinion on that at this point based on language I've just heard orally.
Okay, so I really appreciate what you had to say there. I'm looking for your name. I'd written it down, Greg. Thank you. And what you're saying makes sense. I'm not sure how to proceed with this. I do think that there's something that's too generic about this, but I don't know that I want to dig into it right here to try to understand what the district, what that challenge would be for us if we had more specific language. But I'm just concerned that it kind of indicates that the district is okay with this land use pattern right now with these current developments that are lined up. And I'm not speaking for the board, but the board has expressed issues with the load that's going to be on the water district. If they all these packaged treatment plants, all these different things that might come with that. And so that's why I wanted to put something in here to suggest that we need a clearly defined framework. And there's something called the community action guides. They got rid of the county did of the community plan, which kind of addressed housing, but that relationship is not well defined anywhere. And so I just wanted to be clear that this doesn't make it look like the district is, gung ho with having to serve water to all these people when they don't fit the criteria that's described in the community action guide.
Understood. And maybe Adriel could share the language. I have a suggestion that I think we could maybe agree upon here, and you could proceed with an adoption with a planned edit, possibly.
Okay.
So the last sentence is really, I think, the thing it's not absolutely clear what it's qualifying or what it's relating to. So let's remove that last sentence where it says these developments and instead state something like the population projection anticipated in the prior tables reflects the growth expected by the district during the planning horizon of this document. And that really says you only have a limited amount of population increase that you anticipate at a rate that's if you scroll above a little bit, it's got that table there has a growth rate, and that's consistent with what you're planning for. So that kind of, I think, locks down a little bit and says, look, if somebody's bringing projects that are inconsistent with this kind of growth anticipation, that is not consistent with your community plans and your kind of rural nature that we're representing. So if you scroll back down a little bit, if we remove the last sentence and we add projected growth will be consistent with the population or is anticipated to be consistent with the population stated above, and keep it very simple and otherwise it's just factually stating, hey, some people have talked about things, but we're just sticking to this growth rate that we're talking about.
That's fine with me. That's fine with me. I think that's a great solution. So, Director Flowing?
Jane, you want to go?
Oh, Director
Well-
Dellisberg?
One thing that I just realized, I believe is missing from this, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not, is an accurate map. I don't see any map that shows our outline of our district accurately. I have one from 2019 and it's a mess. And I've been waiting for a new map for a long time. And I just, I'd like to know what the JBWD population versus the rest of the area we're responsible for. Where is that? Or is it part of JBWD? But out of our zip code or something? I'm just confused. What streets or, what is the actual area? And then we've got the blocks in there that I've never heard what the empty blocks are. There's a couple up at the top. I thought maybe they were BLM or native land or something, but I never really understood that either.
So we can get you an accurate map.
Mhm.
This document wouldn't be the place for all of that information.
Okay, well, he just referred to it.
So those areas that are outside of the boundaries are not district territories. So
Right.
everything within the boundaries is what the district is responsible.
Okay, but what area is he talking about that is? I'm confused about the extra area he was talking about. And it's included in the projection.
Outside, he had that red area on the map, remember? And then there was other stuff.
So it's not necessarily our responsibility, but what he was explaining is that when we gathered the population numbers, that some of those are outside of the district boundaries, because when the census is done, people identify as Joshua Tree, but they're in another district. For instance, the area you look up on the map on the left, it has that kind of square carve out there.
Yeah.
On the left, that a lot of those residents consider themselves Joshua Tree. Or they still have the same zip code.
Some of them are
252.
on
But
Yucca Mesa.
they're served by High Desert, but there's still a population of Joshua Tree. So that's what he was describing.
Well, are you saying that people who identify outside of Joshua Basin Water District, but still list themselves in the census, are outside of the zip code
They're
too?
generally in the zip code, but outside of our district.
So we have
boundary.
some of our district is not included in the zip code then? Is that what is
It's
happening?
not our district. We have some of Joshua Tree.
Okay, that part I didn't know about.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and so let's see, is there anything on that map that reflects what we were talking about?
Can you zoom in on that slide a little bit?
And this map is in the document?
This slide is.
Or was it just us?
On the PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's not in the document.
The blue outline is in the document, and that's your district boundary as recognized by LAFCO.
Yeah, good. Lefko's good.
Does that help answer your question?
Not exactly, but I'll stop.
Right. Some of Joshua Tree is served by a different district. The
And nobody knows who.
Joshua, yeah, we do. High Desert Water
Do
District.
you know who these people are?
They live.
Oh, good.
But they're served by High Desert Water District.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a speaker that was confused about what district he was in. Because he was
People
on
confuse
Yucca
what district
Mesa,
they're in
on the
all
edge
the
of the.
time. They
Yucca
pay a
Mesa.
bill and they don't know where it goes.
Right. Okay.
Director Flowing, did you have some?
Yeah, maybe I'm skeptical about some of these growth issues in that it takes a long time to build anything in this state. And what I have in mind is this issue may be more accurately addressed in the next urban water management plan in 5 years from now. 'Cause I don't know if all this stuff, there's 4 developments that I know of here that are being talked about, but I don't, I would even question, because I'm not sophisticated in how some of these people, these big shots, finance things and where they put money and where they don't and how they move it. all that other kinds of stuff for tax purposes, and it's a cluster to me. And so I just kind of think that maybe we don't, this is slightly premature to make a big deal out of this kind of thing now, because it's going to take them forever to get any of this stuff built. And then again, it's going to take them a long time to get this stuff sold, so that there would be a consumer impact, which, because there's a distribution of houses within the spaces that they've reserved for this, I don't know it would be that much of an impact anyway, except probably everyone will have a swimming pool. Maybe if I'm still alive when this stuff gets built, we will have more specific numbers about use and all that. Bearing in mind too that we've got a lot of water here, depending on the drought situations. In one aquifer, we got 264,000 acre feet, and in the other one, we have 293,000 acre feet. And Mojave Water Agency has layers of backup water in storage underground in lakes and all sorts of other stuff. And the people that use that water in these new developments are going to pay for it too. So, and development pays for everything, that kind of thing. Just some random thoughts for you.
Can I make one added piece here? Because I hear all the concerns, and I think one of the values of not talking about specific developments and instead talking about a population that you anticipate to continue to just grow slowly as part of rural development that has happened historically, is if something new comes in, you say that is not something we contemplated in our urban plan. You're going to need to address the water impacts of that project as part of a CEQA process on the land use side. And we as the district are going to want to understand what you are proposing as it relates to our water issues. So being a little vague here allows you that opportunity to ask them to bring much more information to you as that gets defined over time, whenever that could pop up between now and your next round of this urban plan. And that's one of the reasons not listing projects is important or can be valuable.
All right, well, so I have a few more things. One thing I want to clarify, when it's not a correction or anything, but when Director Jarlsberg said that she and I have been talking about climate change, I believe she meant in general, because we did not discuss climate change regarding this document. We didn't discuss this document at all. So the one thing I got confused with, so the 247 acre feet, I think that's what it said regarding at Copper Mountain. It says it's supply, but is that pumping? Is that how much we're pumping out of it? Or is it saying that whole basin is 247,000 acre feet? Okay,
that's what's available. If you wanted to drain it, you got 200 years of just not bringing anything else in and no rain feeding it. You got a lot there, but you'd never want to do that.
Right, that's not all usable, or is that the usable amount?
It is usable, but you'd have to keep lowering your pumps and the energy costs and other things. So it is a representation that the USGS, the United States Geological Survey, had prepared a study of those basins' total bathtub size, if you think of it that way. Do you want to use the bathtub all the way down to the bottom? No. That's something that actually, and some of you may have heard of, Mojave Water Agency is embarking on a master plan effort, which is really about a resource plan. And one of the things they are going to be doing is engaging with all of the different parties throughout its region, including Joshua Basin Water District, to have conversations about what do we ultimately need? What's the shared vision going forward about services and what each other can provide? And so I think your question about further understanding what's really usable out of those numbers could be something that bubbles up through that master plan process. And there's going to be engagement with your board or your staff or combinations within later this summer, July, August, September timeframe. It's going to get developed, and you'll have some outreach coming to you from Mojave Water Agency, separate and apart from this regional urban water management plan.
And so just to be clear, it was in the, I'm sorry, I don't have the page number, but there was content in the overall plan the RUWMP. So that it was the front matter before our subsection 13. That's what, I want to ask, what aspects of groundwater management in the Morongo Basin are actually under MWA authority? Is that just the water master role? Because it kind of looks like there was some, I just want to be clear of what we're saying when we say that, if you understand what I'm saying.
I totally understand, and it may not be as clear as it could be. Right now, Mojave has an agreement with the Ames-Reche area, which that basin does touch a little bit of your northern boundary, to manage and collect data and report for Mojave, for the Ames-Reche. Otherwise, the Warren Basin is managed as a water master by High Desert Water District. You also have some overlay with Warren Basin, which isn't adjudicated. And then your other basins are not adjudicated, and Mojave just collects some data out there and shares that with you. So management is a little bit of it really is about managing with you and providing you water to help you locally manage the groundwater resources in a way. We could look at a tweak on that language, but it wasn't intended that they are doing anything that you're because of or instead of you.
Yeah, that's just something I'm sensitive to, because
Understood.
a document can stay in place and then all of a sudden, before long, it's that's how people understand things. So one of the things that I'm interested in was, you said, I wrote it down, MWA determined sufficient supply for the region, and we're part of that. And so that's in the front matter of the, that's Ariel said that, that's in the front matter of the RUWMP. But what I would like to, and then in another place it said that coordination, this was on 13.3.2, coordination with local land use planning efforts helps ensure that anticipated development patterns are appropriately represented in long-term demand forecasting. So I request the land use data sets and population data sets from SCAG that were used to inform this, because I would like to see what that data says as opposed to, the edited version. So is that possible for me to get that? And the housing forecast units data, because that all tied together to say by 2060, only 835 people are going to move here. So from now until 2060, only 835 people. Now, obviously, some people die. I don't understand how all that works, but that seems like an incredibly low number.
We'd be happy to share the foundational information that was used for that.
Okay.
Interestingly, we were actually looking at this at the Mojave regional scale recently of projections and population within the entirety of the Mojave region, which is huge, as you all know. From Barstow up to Hesperia and then all the way out to where you are in the Morongo Basin. The projections from a couple of decades ago are not that far off from the population actually seen today collectively. How that shows up in different parts is what really varies. Maybe there's concentrations that shift around. So there are studies that we're looking at some of that and looking at economics and drivers. We can share that information with you, share it with Sarah, and she can make it available to you. And you can, dig into it and we can all talk about it further, especially as part of the master plan efforts.
Okay, and there were a couple of things I forgot to say. I do want to say I thought this was a really great document, and it was well done, and it was well written for the layperson, and I like this document. I liked it when we had to go through it 4 or 5 years ago. So kudos to you guys for how it was created, and I had sent some questions ahead of time to the general manager, and you guys answered that. One was, it looked like the Warren Basin, the Copper Mountain, said we had 247 acre feet, but that's what it said in 2020. And so one of the questions I had was, is our recharge not, moving that number at all? And so you guys answered that question by saying, it looks like we're getting 1,000 acre feet a year of recharge, which then that costs us like $900,000 to recharge. And so that's like 900 an acre foot, I guess is what that extra. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Did I say that? I said 700, didn't I?
I don't remember.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It fluctuates a little bit each year.
Oh, okay. All right. I think that's, yeah, just getting that initial is something that I wanted. And I was going to say that the link to the MWA's Regional Studies webpage was broken. And anyway, so if you guys find that link, since you're familiar with the document, I couldn't go back and find it. So I just wanted to share that with you.
We'll look for that. And
Page not found.
appreciate finding that, and we'll get that. Also, just for general information for the board, as of this morning, Mojave Water Agency has posted the full version of the regional plan that they will be adopting next Thursday, which has the 10 retail agencies. You are one of those 10 we're all participating. So it's a 700-page document that they are going to be adopting that includes your chapter also. Just so if you're interested in looking at it in its entirety, that is a link available on Mojave Water Agency's website as of this morning.
Well, I would have been interested before this meeting because I was like, oh, good, I can go look at somebody else's plans. And then they were all blank pages. So just letting you know, there was one person on the planet that was disappointed that we didn't have all of the water districts in that document. So
yeah, we didn't want everybody to have to adopt everybody's because that's a huge doment. Last night, this area adopted their version with their chapter and the placeholder pages for you and all the others. High Desert just adopted theirs an hour ago with their chapter in theirs and the blank pages. So this is kind of like how everybody's doing it, and the water agency is adopting the entirety.
All right, thank you. And I did want to say that the general manager did report, and I heard her say that you guys were great to work with, and I appreciate you making her job easy.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Director Jarlsberg?
Well, one idea popped in while we were talking, just briefly. Because I haven't read every word in this report, unfortunately. I'm wondering if some indication as to how unpredictable our county is in relation to water districts, if that appears in any of the consideration in the report.
No.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Director Fick?
Yeah, I'm an agreeable. We had a meeting previous to this one on the population of Joshua Tree, and the actual permanent population of Joshua Tree is around 8,000. The added 2,000 and something up to 10,000 whatever is the STR population. And so we're also serving the STR population out here also. But I know, we've been following census for decades and they get it wrong very often. And I was concerned that this number of 10,500 or something would be viewed as the permanent population of Joshua Tree, which it isn't. Right now, we're about 8,000 people. We're sort of a hybrid community.
But I just want to say what I understood this to mean is the reason that number was higher because it's outside the census designated area of Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
And so we're still 8,000 in that red area, but out in those other areas, that's where those additional numbers come from. So,
And that's more accurate because that's who we serve.
Yeah, that's the service area.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to figure out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So, hearing no comment anymore. Hearing no more comments from the board at this time, I will open the public hearing. We will now take public comment on this item in person or online. Yeah, if you're in person, please use the feature in Zoom to raise your hand. So we know you would like to say something. Seeing no further speakers, I will close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 26-1086, the district's 2025 urban water management plan and water shortage contingency plan.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call vote, please.
President Duvall?
Yes.
Director Flynn?
Yes.
Director Fick?
Yes.
Director Jarlsberg?
Yes.
VP Short?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if I could just, again, thank you, the folks from Nigeria, you guys have been great to work with. Thank the staff who had to dive into this in very short order, and NWA for making this happen because Without them, it wouldn't have. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you.
We appreciate the opportunity and thank you for being so easy to work with.
Thank you, guys.
All right, moving along. Oh, bye-bye, bye. We will now consider item 7B, which is the annual public hearing regarding employee vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts as required by Assembly Bill 2561 and Government Code Section 3502.3. Welcome to HR and Risk Generalist Adriana Sheehan, who will present the staff report.
Well, thank you for your time. So in compliance with Assembly Bill 2561, I present to you the district's annual vacancy report for fiscal year 25 and 26. The district currently has 3 funded vacant positions and continues recruitment efforts for those 3 positions. We have a director of operations position, which the regular recruitment has been underway for this position since December 24. We have had an interim placement for this position. However, that is set to end on the 16th. Moving forward, we have our maintenance supervisor position, which the recruitment is underway for that one as well. It has been underway since June of 25. And then lastly, we have our water quality specialist position, which is vacant, has been vacant for 4 months. It is only vacated due to an internal promotion. With that said, I do want to state that while vacancies have increased workloads and extended hiring timelines, essential services and operations continue without interruption. Our district remains focused on attracting and retaining qualified employees through competitive compensation, professional development opportunities, and ongoing recruitment initiatives. We will continue our efforts to fill these vacancies and report annually as required for compliance. Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the floor? Okay. All right, at this time, I declare the public hearing open. This is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Again, for any of you online, you're welcome to raise your hand. Seeing no questions or further questions from here, I now close this public hearing and the board has received the report. Moving on to item 7C on tonight's agenda concerns adoption of resolution 26-1087, the employee compensation plan. Hello, HR and Risk Generalist Adriana Sheehan, please proceed.
So our employee compensation plan, this updated plan was developed with direct input from employee feedback, including requests and things identified in the employee survey. It reflects our commitment to listening to our team and aligning compensation practices with their needs and expectations. If I can ask you to take your attention to the PowerPoint. So again, this is our annual employee survey and compensation plan for 2026. Within the survey, the top 3 importance of job satisfaction was pay, benefits, and job security. Looking at a workplace satisfaction survey, we found that the 5 factors of job satisfaction are employee appreciation and respect, career progression, work-life balance, a positive company culture, and meaningful work. As you'll see, 81% of, can you go back real quick, Lisa? As you will see, 81% of employees here are either very satisfied or satisfied compared to the American average of 40%. We did ask our staff to indicate their level of agreement with the following 3 areas, which was feeling respected at work. They have a positive working relationship with their team, and the district provides a supportive working environment. 90% of our staff feels respected. 100% of our staff feel that they have a positive working relationship with their team, and 77% feel that the district provides supportive work environment. Overall, 81% of employees feel that the total compensation is very fair or fair. And these are a few comments that are paraphrased from this year's survey. The work we do is meaningful and makes a difference in the community. Employees are interested in an increased COLA to help with the inflation that we are dealing with now. Our employees appreciate the district's support for training opportunities and professional development. They're also interested in an increase with the 457 retirement, and some would like to see a retiree healthcare option. With that, we have our employee compensation plan proposal for you. We are asking that you provide a cost of living increase COLA of 3.4%. And then the 457 retirement employer match increased district contribution by $1,000. And if approved, both of these would be effective the first pay date in July. As for all other policies and benefits, everything will be maintained as is. That is it. Any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board? Director Jarlsberg?
Actually, my main question is I'd like to meet the employees. Many of you I have not been able to put a name and a face together. I met trying to get to know Kenny a bit, who's happy to attend our board meetings.
So do you mind going round table?
No, I just wondered if you would say what your position, say what your position is and your name, and maybe if you want to say where you live, because I understand a couple of you live outside the district.
And your astrological sign, please. No, I'm kidding.
My name is Kenny Ware. I'm a water production supervisor. I've been with the district for almost 13 years, and I live in Red Valley.
Hi, I'm Zachary Milano. I'm a production operator one. Been in the district for 8 months now. And I'm in Toronto, Scotland.
I wanted to ask you about your last name. I have a longtime friend whose last name is Belisle, which is not, I think in some areas of the country it's fairly common, but maybe afterwards I'll ask if you're related.
Yeah. My name is Joey Vincent. Maintenance worker 3 here. I've been at the district 4 years now, and I live in Yucca Valley.
I'm Keegan Whalen. I'm a maintenance worker 1. I live in Yucca Valley. I'm fairly new here. I started in January. My name is Justin Tuttle. I'm a maintenance 2. I've been 5 years or so. I'm not even Yucca Valley.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael. I'm a maintenance worker 1, hired in January, and I'm a Taurus. I live right here in Joshua Tree.
But you're a performer too, right?
Yes.
When are you going to perform next?
I'll let you.
I'm Tanya Hernandez. I work in the accounting department, accounting tech, and I've been here for almost 5 years. I live in Joshua.
I hear your name all the time, but I hadn't put you and the name together.
I got a busy event home.
Right, so is there anything else? Yeah, thank you guys. Is there anything else from the board? All right, wonderful.
I'll just say I'm just delighted to have you guys and lady here. What you do is vital. That means it pertains to life itself. And I regard you guys as on a par with firemen, policemen, paramedics, you've sanitation workers, all of that stuff. Without you guys moving that water, this community dies. And we demand your best while you're here. I'm intrigued also, by the way, you two guys are dressed here. And it's an insulation. It's an insulation kind of thing here, you know, with the, nobody would assume that you'd be wearing a hoodie when it's 100 degrees. For simple survival, it's Justin, it's a practical and I hope excusable things to do. When you're comfortable and well rested, you do better work. And so I'm just have an enormous amount of respect for you guys. And legitimately, I do. Thanks for being here, too.
Director Fick?
Yeah, I was going to have I appreciate our work crew here. And also, I'm curious, who chose the chartreuse? I'm very much for the chartreuse color, and that's almost, it's.
Safety yellow.
Safety yellow or chartreuse? Safety
I
yellow.
think we probably call it chartreuse.
Yeah, chartreuse is a little greener. It's also the favorite color and mark of a certain MotoGP racer named Valentino Rossi, who's been racing for decades. He adopted that color as part of his genre.
Yeah, I just had a couple things to say. You know, we did recognize inflation and hence the COLA increase. And so I wanted you guys to know that. And we're happy you're here. And it appears you are too at that 81% number. That's nothing to be sneezed at. And this is a competitive field. And we appreciate the commitment that you have here. And we want to have the district to remain with, populated with committed employees. So, and we do respect, I know it said on the slide in the survey that, mutual respect. I want you to know we do respect what you do, and it is appreciated, just as Director Flynn said.
Here.
All right. Okay. So is there a motion to approve Resolution 26-1087, approving the FY fiscal year 2026-2027 employee compensation plan?
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
President Doolittle?
Yes.
Director Fleming?
Yes.
Director Fick?
Yes.
Director Charleston?
Yes.
Casey Short?
Yes.
All right, Resolution 26-1087 is unanimously approved.
But I know we love to.
You'll learn a lot if you stay with this.
On the budget.
Yeah, item 7D's topic is the fiscal year 2025-26 revised budget. And then the upcoming one, the fiscal year 2026-27 proposed budget, which are presented for board review and adoption consideration. General Manager Johnson and staff.
Yes. Thank you. We've been working on the budget, usually every year picking it up around January, February. It's a comprehensive document. So we've now entered that with the strategic plan, which is a good solution to making sure we're moving those initiatives along. And then also have the business plan that matches that. After many, many meetings, fully and with the board, we now present to you finalized budget, and then pass it on to Ann Roman, Director of Finance.
Thank you so much. Good evening. All. Hello. We can look at our presentation. Do have the 25-26 revised budget and 26-27 proposed budget information for you to look over tonight. The overall budget, the operational budget, comes in at a cost of $10.8 million, which includes 6 or more reports and studies. We combined a few of them, so actually it's a little more than what we counted here. Capital cost of $6.178 million, including 24 projects. And I will say that since I've been doing this, all the years that I've been doing this, this is the most ambitious list of capital projects that we've had. The district employs approximately 25 or so operations and administrative staff and maintains a general fund and 16 reserve funds for designated purposes. One of the things we've talked about in some of the prior workshops is the fact that the rate study assumes a 4% operating expense increase per year. With this revised proposed budget that we're bringing after incorporating some additional staffing and consultant options to better support the strategic plan and Chromium 6 goals, this budget does come in at 11% over the original 25-26 budget. The total, I already mentioned the total operational and capital budgets, so I won't repeat that. The drawdown for the 26-27 budget is $3.818 million. So that is a reduction in reserves that would be recognized for just the 1 year. And later I'll talk about the combined 25, 26, and 26, 27 drawdown overall. Importantly, reserves are expected to cover 6 months of operating expenses as required by the reserve policy. And this is something that has changed since our last workshop, and that is that operating revenues, which generally should meet or exceed operating expenses, they do not now cover in total operating expenses. The district's budget policy does permit this temporarily, but not long term. So this is something that can happen from year to year, and you just don't want it to be a trend indefinitely. And we can talk about that a little bit more later. I wanted to bring to your attention changes that have occurred since the May 18th meeting, which was our last workshop. We did increase certain areas of the budget for 26, 27. And one of those was the engineering contract services. This is where we cost our consulting engineer. And we did increase that from 100,000 to 150,000. The grant writing and management line of the budget, which would be for a consulting grant writer and manager, we increased that from 100 to 150,000. Temporary labor office. So this is an area where we have plugged in some additional budget for TBD new positions. So we have some ideas of those positions or those staffing needs. We just don't have, it's not concrete yet. So we've got that in temporary labor for now. And that is, that was increased from 30,000 to 200,000 to anticipate a few new positions to cover salaries and benefits. And we talked about the engineering tech idea of the position, and that is already included in the budget and was already included in the budget. It was just in an unfilled production operator position. And we also had something that we talked about a little bit previously, extra help in this budget. That was already included in salaries and split between the production and distribution departments. Just threw those two in there because we're kind of talking about all of those staffing changes. Other changes in this budget that we're bringing tonight include the increase of AMI from 100,000 to 200,000. And that was really just to, we're still waiting on the results of the propagation study. And so we don't have
200,000 is a more accurate dollar amount. Just in case we decide to go that route.
And the 457 employer contribution did increase by $1,000, so about 19,000 overall. And let's look at the combined budget. If you're following along with your packet, this is on page 340. This is the combined total. So this is the operating budget and the capital budget. Yeah, so here, if we just focus in on the 26, 27 primarily, that's where most of our concerns are going to be at this point. Total revenues of 13.1 million and total operating expenses of 10.8 million. Total capital expenses of 6.178 million. And that is a total of operating and capital expenses of 16.979 million. And that brings us to that drawdown of reserves figure of 3.8 million. Questions so far? We'll have time if we have any. All right. So here's just a graphic for you of those numbers that I just recited for the original 2025. 2025-26 budget, the revised 25-26 budget, and the proposed 26-27 budget. And another graphic, this one is in your, both of these are in your packet. This one is interesting.
I'm wondering if.
Director Jarlsberg.
If you could explain the previous, the one that you just went by.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to understand the drawdown is the negative. And,
Yes, it is. Yes, so in the original 2025 budget, we anticipated a 2.5 million drawdown. However, some of those projects got pushed into the 26-27 budget. So that actually changed in the 25-26 revised budget to a net revenue. So rather than a drawdown, it became a net revenue because we pushed some of those projects forward.
how does that relate to the positives? I don't understand where the negative came from.
Okay, so that is, that would be the difference between, if we look at just in the green, the 13.16 million in revenues. That's what we're taking in.
Mhm.
And then we have 10.8 million of operating expenses that we have to deduct from that. And 6.18 million of capital expenses, and that leaves us with